In this video, the tricks that estate agents play on buyers. Oh, I'm going to make a few enemies here, but so what? Okay, firstly, here's number one. You must speak to our broker first. There are, or rather, should I play it carefully? It has been alleged that some estate agents refuse to let you even view a property unless you speak to their mortgage broker. The guidelines from the FCA are very, very, very strict. There should be no canvassing for any form of finance, lending, financial services, either directly or in disguise. I don't know if that comes under that category. But if you feel that you have been prevented from viewing a property because you did not or will not speak to their financial services person, you know where the property is that you're interested in. Make sure you inform the seller that you have been prevented from viewing their property and potentially making an offer because that estate agent closed the door on you because they want to actually claw more money out of you by directing you to their mortgage broker. And don't fall for any of their flannel, because if it is a case of the seller is insisting that only progressible people should view the property, I can understand that. There are sellers that flatly refuse to be taking time to conduct viewings for people who have a property to sell and who knows when it will sell, or if they are not ready. If you're ready to go, you have a decision in principle, they should not prevent you from viewing that property or making an offer. Number two, they refuse to take the property off the market until your lender has instructed a surveyor. I'm sure many of you have had experience of this. That puts the buyer under extreme stress. Unfortunately, this can vary by lender, so not all buyers have the option to go to this lender who will instruct the valuer this week, assuming that their panel are available this week or next week. And there are other lenders that take weeks, but you may have no choice because the lender that fits your criteria there may be only one lender that fits your criteria, or two, and you may not have a choice to go to another lender. So you don't really have another option. Number three, agents insist on contacting your broker. Legally, that contravenes GDPR. They have no legal right to contact your broker. In fact, they could be breaking the law by asking any information about your situation from your broker unless you volunteer it. At this point, the only information that is reasonable for you to provide is a decision in principle. So technically, your broker works for you. You are paying the broker, and if your broker gives an estate agent any information, that breaks GDPR. This is not just unethical, but it borders on illegal, but it happens all the time. Number four, pushy tactics, especially developers. There's always another buyer. There is always a reason that you may lose the house. The constant phone calls, the constant thinly veiled threats that if you do not, this will happen, etc., etc. It amounts to little more than professional bullying. But why? I would say to you, think about the double glazing salesman. Many of you may be too young to remember the heyday of the double glazing salesmen in the 70s and 80s. They used to pressure people into signing. Literally, they would push and push and push until the victims that let them in their house threw them out of their house to get their name on the dotted line to sign. Why would they do that? They used to do that to stop people reconsidering, to stop people looking elsewhere, and to get a decision, a signature from them and commitment before they suffered post-purchase remorse. And in a different version, that's what's being done. You are being swept away by the pressure and the threat of losing your property to stop you reconsidering, especially if you're buying an overpriced new property from a developer. And that leads me on to the next step. Let's pick on surveyors. Sorry, surveyors, nothing personal, it's just the general picture. Now, going back to the second point about agents not taking properties off the market until the lender had instructed a valuer. When you sell a property at auction, you have to prepare an auction pack, which includes the searches, all sorts of information about the property, so that the buyer is able to download the seller's pack, have all the information in front of them, and make an informed decision when they bid. Because when you bid on a property in an auction room, you're not bidding subject to survey, subject to searches. You are bidding to buy, and to be committed to buy normally within 28 days. Perhaps that should be considered for all sales. But then the argument would come. If surveys were conducted on property by the seller before coming to market, would all lenders accept that? And the answer is probably not. Then that raises the question, if all sellers are RICS registered, then why would all lenders not be happy with the valuation from any RICS surveyor? Why would they want to send their own? That raises questions in itself, but I'll leave that there. Now, you may be thinking, I have mentioned to you that many properties now will be downvalued by surveyors. And many of you who are buying or who have bought a new property may be wondering, how is this tiny two-bedder, or how was this tiny two-bedder, or whatever it is, valued at this price by the surveyor when another private resale was downvalued? All I can say, so that I don't hang myself, in the following the crash, or even before, with many of these very expensive high-end developments in London that were definitely overpriced, there were many surveyors who did downvalue the properties, and we're not talking about a few thousand, we're not even talking tens of thousands. In cases it was hundreds of thousands. But these surveyors then found these big development corporations, threatened them with legal action because they would weigh up their valuation based on other developments, because they would say you can't compare this to that two-bedroom flat that was built 20 years ago because this is something completely different. And they literally implemented such a climate of fear on surveyors that surveyors were petrified of getting it wrong for fear of facing legal action. So when you're buying a new property, especially if it's from a large developer, ask yourselves, who has valued it? Have they really valued it accurately? And if not, then why? And take that into account before you put your name on the dotted line to buy something now, considering what we are or may be facing in our economy. Just a few thoughts for you buyers. I hope that helps. I'm sure that I will get a little bit of hate mail, but it will be well worth it, and I'll see you in the next video.